Shalom, peace and love and blessings to you, family. Your little brother Mugi, coming at you from the beautiful Ginger City. I am back again with another revolutionary message. So I tell you one thing, if I don't have anything useful to tell you or to show you, I would rather stay away. I like to chill by the water, by the riverside or the lakeside, and enjoy my wonderful life. Every time I come at you, I'm bringing revolutionary message. Okay? Thank you for always watching. Thank you for always supporting. Thank you for subscribing. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. Also, consider joining as a paying member to support the work that I do. I will appreciate that. Check me out on my Patreon, link in the description. Hit my PayPal, link in the description as well. Support your little brother Mugi. All right, let's get straight into the message. So, a couple of days ago, I saw Mr. President Ruto of Kenya when he went to, I don't know where he went, maybe France, but anyway, he was talking, he was addressing the problems of Africa, mainly liquidity and debt and everything. He was talking to President Macron of France. And in his words, he said, we as Africa, we support new financing institutions, you know, and don't quote me, just paraphrasing, just take the message, focus on the message that I'm bringing you. So what he basically said is that IMF and World Bank are not serving the best interests of Africa. They're not helping Africa, but rather keep Africa in debt. Remember, I brought you a video on this subject. I talked about this. You know what I'm saying? IMF, World Bank mention all those imperialistic financing institutions are tools of imperialism and oppression. And how they do it is by keeping Africa in debt, African nations in debt, so they are not working. So my brother Ruto of Kenya proposed forming new institutions where all member states, member nations will contribute equally, hence, you know, creating a balance. And then he hopes that these new institutions that will be formed will perhaps help Africa get out of the mess that she's in. Now, here is my message to you. Anyway, this is not a dig at Mr. Ruto, because I do respect him so much, and I do appreciate the work that he's doing, because when I see the free visa agreements that he's brokering with fellow African nations, those are steps towards liberating Africa. Because remember, the borders and the travel restrictions are the white man's idea. They're not our ideas. There was no borders, you know. It's really hard to work together with these borders in place. So Mr. Ruto is doing a good job being able to negotiate and have these free travel, free visa, you know, deals with fellow African nations. And I commend him a lot, and I do implore other African leaders to do the same, because we cannot realize the vision of a one Africa, true unity of Africa with these borders in place. Look at America, 54 states, all right? Is it 54 states? I don't even care how many states, you know? They can move within each other. Almost the same number of independent states in Africa, but it's just one America, one dial code, one everything. Look at Europe. You can literally move from Sweden all the way to Portugal and Spain. Nobody is going to ask you where are you going and why are you going where you're going. You know? But in Africa, they managed to convince us that borders are really necessary. So I call on, this is a message to African leaders. Get rid of the borders. Let us realize true African unity. And through true African unity, we shall be able to fight collectively for our true liberation. So here's how I want to connect the message Mr. Ruto was, you know, putting forward. For over 400 years, African people have been trying to work with the European. And what have we achieved? What have we gained? So the ideas put forward by Mr. Ruto, I don't support them. Yes, it's true, we need to, Africa needs to move away from IMF, World Bank. But also, we need to think about working together as Africa. You know, Mr. Ruto should be suggesting to to form African institutions, African financing institutions. You know what I'm saying? Quit having hope and thinking about forming alliances with the white man, because we have been doing that for the last 400 years or more. And what have we achieved? What have we got? Zero. So even the new institutions will be used to keep us where we are. So the new institutions Mr. Ruto is suggesting to Macron, the same institutions that you know, he's suggesting to form, they are also going to be used to our disadvantage if we continue having these kind of relationships with Europeans. This is what I'm saying. Let us think about forming our own institutions as African nations. And yes, we can do it. Remember when Gaddafi tried to form the Pan-African Bank and he was killed because of that? So he showed you all African leaders that it is possible. Yes, he showed that. So instead of going to borrow money from France, and I don't know why African leaders keep doing this. You know, we keep going to these European nations thinking that, oh, keeping our hope in them, and they keep letting us down and we never learn. Oh, how are you, sir?
Fine, how are you?
Can I have a word with you, please? I know you're tired.
No, not today.
Not today. Okay, no problem. You know what I'm saying, people? Huh? So we keep having hope, working with the Europeans, thinking that they will help us, or these partnerships will work, but they haven't worked. They are looking out for themselves. They're looking out for their best interests. And part of their best interests is to keep Africa down. So we need to start thinking about working with each other. Africa work with fellow African countries to achieve our goals. Stop going to Europe. This is for the African leaders. Stop going to Europe and think that, you know, they will help us. No, they will not. They have never, and they will never. Okay? So, you know, in my comments when I called upon Africans in the diaspora to come and help me build the Israelite community, many of you went, how can you build from nothing? Build it yourself and we will come and occupy. Blah, blah, blah. I said, man, the problem with us, we are too politically naive. And anybody who upholds such standards of, you know, we are so much into individualism, you know. I talked about individual victories. The time is over for us celebrating individual victories where people, you know, do things and excel and we celebrate them. The time is over. We need to start winning as a group. Black people, just black people. Because this has showed us, you know, when African leaders started to move away from the US and Europe to forge partnerships with the Chinese, you know, you see what has happened. The Chinese, neither do they have our best interests. They are looking to also steal from us. They are looking to start from where the Americans, the Europeans stopped. Look at the loans that they are giving us. Yeah? They all serve to take away from us. So, not the Europeans, not the Chinese, not the Indians are able to work with us while helping us achieve our true independence, true liberty, true economic liberation. All of them are looking to exploit us Africans, and we need to learn from the examples. You know, the Chinese men are taking over the ports in Africa, you know. The Chinese are taking over the mineral mines in Africa because we are defaulting. They're giving us these loans which our leaders are not able to pay back. They can't even, our leaders can't even negotiate a good deal. And that is having hope in working with people who are not like us. You know what I'm saying? When we abandon the Americans and the Europeans for the Chinese, what have the Chinese benefited us? Well, what we are getting from the Chinese is taking over our mines, taking over our ports, taking over our airports. So, ain't nobody but the black person is able to work you know, in a just manner with us. So, you know what I'm saying? So here's what I need you to learn. We need to learn to work with each other. And let me also get this one in, because it's important that I make you understand this. So when we Africans have hope in the diaspora black people in the diaspora, hoping to work with you is, number one, it's true that Africans in the diaspora are the richest group of Africans. And you can help Africa to develop while also protecting Africa's best interests. Let us give an example. And this is why I'm calling for organization, because we are very disorganized. We are so much into individualism. Oh, it's about me. I should prosper. I should elevate, while leaving other black people down. No, you will not be able to attain true liberation, true independence, true anything while you are alone. We do that as a collective. So what I'm saying to you is that black people, both on the continent and outside the continent, we need to organize. Let me give you an example. Since black people in the diaspora are the richest group of Africans, if we are able to organize and finance building dams in Africa, organize to build infrastructure in Africa, if an African country needs a dam, if they need a road, if they need a bridge, and this bridge is financed entirely by African people, trust me, there will not be a problem having a black man own a port if these African leaders are not able to manage the loans. There will not be a problem, a black man taking over a port because you have defaulted on the loan, our government has defaulted on the loan. Because this black person will still look out for the best interest of his own black people. He will put black people to work in this port. He will put black people to, he will empower black people. And that is if we are able to propagate the seed of working together, unity. But if the Chinese continue taking over our minds because of our disorganization, then we are doomed. Africa is going to be recolonized. Yes, in the next, how many years? Next few decades, Africa is going to be effectively colonized because of our disorganization. So we need to work together. The reason why we have hope in our black brothers and sisters in the diaspora is because you have the resources that we need, the resources that Africa needs, the resources that Africa goes begging to the Europeans and the Chinese. You have them. But because of disorganization, we are not able to mobilize those resources and help Africa grow. Think about a situation where black people in the diaspora are able to come back here in Africa and put their money together in a bank and use that money to finance the projects that are badly needed in Africa. Kenya is struggling to pay back their loan on the standard gauge railway. And the Chinese are, they're eagerly waiting. They have their teeth open, waiting for the Kenya to default on that loan, so that they grab, so that they grab what they can. But if black people mobilize the resources, peace and love, brother, love for you, So if black people mobilized the resources and funded the standard gauge railway, Kenya will not be under pressure to pay back this loan, because they will know that it's their brothers who financed this, and even the terms that the black brothers will give fellow black brothers will be favorable. And even, I am telling you, what's the problem owning our continent? Huh? So, the Chinese are busy owning our ports because of the unfair deals they're giving us on the loans. They come in this guise of helping us, infrastructure, what, this and that and that, but they are looking out for their own interests. So now is the time for we black people to organize and obtain true liberty. Let us learn to work with each other. Let us get rid of the helping the seeds of divisionism, the seeds of divide and rule. Those are seeds that were planted by them. And when we continue watering those seeds to grow, it does not help us, it helps them. It does not help us. So what I'm preaching is work together. Let us organize. Let us organize ourselves to realize our true goals. So it is wrong for our leaders to go and beg the Europeans to give us fair deals, which is what Mr. Ruto is doing. Going to try and convince Emmanuel Macron that, hey, look, you have been giving us unfair deals with the IMF and World Bank, so I am begging you to form new institutions. They're not going to do that. And even if they do it, it will be, they will find a way to manipulate you, to manipulate us. So it's time, Mr. Ruto, if we have to beg, it's time to go and beg our fellow black brothers and sisters, African leaders. You know what I'm saying? It's time to realize our true potential and know that we can finance all the projects that are needed in Africa without begging the white man, without begging the European, without begging the Chinese. No problem working with the Chinese. No problem working with the Europeans. But we must do that at a vantage point. We should do that from a point of power and control, you know? So let us build alliances with each other and not think about building alliances with the Europeans, because it hasn't worked and it will never work. You know what I'm saying? So our brothers in the diaspora, let us organize. Let us put our money together and help build. Let us put our money together and build. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting. Please continue. I need your support. Let us get this farm started. You know, we are in the process of acquiring land under my vision. Anyway, I think this will be a video for another time. But let us organize, most importantly. So we are in the process of getting this land and build. Oh, before I forget, I think I mentioned this. Africans, let us make it a culture of building our own institutions. Let us make it a culture of building our own institutions, doing things for ourselves. Let us make it a culture. That's how we are going to be able to win indeed. This is today's message. You know, this is today's message. Let us organize. Number one. Okay. The first thing is unite, because that's how we organize. Let us organize ourselves through unity. Let us make it a culture to build our own institutions, our own schools, our own hospitals, our own manufacturing, our own whatever, farms to feed ourselves. Mention it. There's no problem working with the Chinese, but from a vantage point. No problem working with Europeans, but from a vantage point where we are in control. And we do that by learning to do things ourselves. Because at the moment we are not. We are not building our own schools. We are not in control of the curriculum our children are learning. We are not building our own hospitals. We are not in control of the medicines that are being used in the hospitals, you know. We are not in control of our food with the GMOs. Control over our food has been taken. We don't manufacture anything. Most of African nations the economies are importing. Why? We can do it. We can build our manufacturing. We can build our supply chain, you know, distribution, all of that. We can do it. This is your little brother Mugi signing out. I always leave you with the beauty around my town, Jinja. You know, the beautiful green plants and vegetation around, the beautiful skies, you know. So